Oh, hey, you're back. Just catching up on some reading on George Mason. Speaking of George Mason, he's kind of an interesting guy. He's an anti federalist who's actually one of the older delegates sent to the Constitutional Convention. He was sent there because of his superb speaking skills. You may be familiar with George Mason University, the basketball school that made the deep run from an 8 seed a number of years ago. But our George Mason has nothing to do with round ball. The George Mason we're talking about was sent to the convention because he was an excellent speaker, as I said before. At the convention, Mason feared that other delegates would steer too far away from democracy and towards monarchy. Although he favored 6 year terms for senators to protect the right of property, Mason thought people with property, money, and children should be allowed to vote because their possessions provided evidence that they had a permanent common interest with society. Mason tried to include a Bill of Rights in the Constitution, but he failed in his attempt, though it later was put in. He also wanted to limit the power of the president, in keeping with the democratic principles. He opposed the slave trade and argued strongly against slavery, which he thought would bring judgment. In the end, he worried that the Constitution did not sufficiently restrict the powers of Congress and would allow the national government to strip the states of their powers. Furthermore, he was upset with the Constitution because it had no Bill of Rights, continued the slave trade, and gave too much power to the president.